Thanks. Hey, everybody, we're back, and here we have Paul. And Paul, what's the game that you have here? It looks pretty interesting and immersive here.
We have a space game, a space adventure called Deliver Us the Moon.
All right, and tell us a little bit more about that. Like, why a space game? And it is like, is it a shooter or whatever? It looks a lot more entailed than just your typical space game, or what people might think of as a space game. What is it exactly?
So my brother and I always wanted to become an astronaut, but we were not smart enough to do rocket science, so we started a game company called KOK Interactive.
Okay.
In the end, it wasn't that easy either to start a game company, but we always wanted to become that astronaut, so we said, like, you know what, let's make that virtual world and create that whole feel of how an astronaut would feel in our eyes, in our perspective.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we did, and we have woven that into a narrative game, a narrative exploration game, adventure game for everybody that loves space games.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and just from the imagery alone, it looks like it's exactly that, a really nice, like, first-person adventure, immersive game that really conveys what you said it is what it feels like to be an astronaut. So while we're here, one of the main questions we've been asking a lot of devs is, what are some of your biggest marketing challenges with promoting the game?
So the biggest challenge is always reach. So when you make games like this, and especially with a saturated market as we have it today, there are so many brilliant ideas, so many tiny games, so many big games, and they all want to kind of have that exposure. So it can be quite tough to get that exposure that you want, especially if you're a small company like us. It's tough to stick your head above the grass.
Yeah, totally. And what are some of the things that you're doing, to kind of combat that, or to get out there? Obviously, being here at PAX is a big one, but what other things are you doing?
So there are more of these exhibitions than only PAX. So we also do a lot of things in Europe.
Okay.
For example, GDC. GDC is a little bit more business heavy. This is a little bit more for consumers. So these are great things to work, but definitely team up with people. So team up with people, PR companies, team up with publishers to get that reach that you want. What we always do is, if you are very clear in what you want, tell that. Just shout it out to as many people as you want. And if you can portray that feeling of what you want, not only with the game, but also as a company, a lot of companies like to help you out with that. Nice.
Well, man, that's really great insight, and it looks like you guys are doing really well here at PAX. And, keep up the great work, and I'm sure you guys will do fine.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Take care. Hey, everybody. We're back, and I actually have a familiar voice here. If some of you will probably recognize, it's Dave O'Shree from New Blood Interactive. How's it going, Dave?
Yeah, hi, it's me. Come on. Yeah, you recognize this voice. That's what I sound like all the time.
So,
man.
Not much. So, how's it going? All right, so you have a few games out already. Anything new? What are you doing at PAX? What are you promoting here?
Tonight we Riot on Switch for the first time. We got Dusk on Switch for the first time. We got a Medieval Episode 7 playable for the first time. We got a bunch of new shirts, merch, pins, all that fun stuff, new hats, all the stuff that the kids love. Toys, fidget spinners, I don't know, Fortnite dances. I don't know what the kids like these days.
Awesome. So a lot of new stuff, especially with like you said, Switch coming out.
Yeah.
So that's great. So in light of all that stuff, you have more merch, you have more platforms that you're putting it out on. I'm sure there's still some marketing challenges that you guys face, not just from that, but everything else. So what have some of been your more recent marketing challenges, and how are you guys overcoming them?
I think the biggest challenge with indie games is always getting people to know about them, right? We don't have millions of dollars to spend on marketing. So it's about, connecting. I think the biggest thing you can do these days is just build the community and connect with people through that. Try to keep it organic, just get the word out. And make sure that the people who you think would like your games know about your games first, and then it should spread organically if your game's pretty good.
Nice.
It's the best you can do. It's hard out there.
Yeah, it totally is. Well, you heard it from Dave right here at PAX East, and how's your PAX East been going so far?
It's good. It's busy. By the last day, we'll probably have all our figured out, so it's good.
All right, man. Well, hey, keep up the good work, and give the best to the team and everything, and just keep doing what you're doing.
All right, thanks for having me, man.
Yep.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here with Jeff. Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your studio, your game?
Sure, yeah, thanks for interviewing me. So I'm with a two-man company called Resonator, and we're made up of former studio developers, longtime developers, and we split off, and we've been working on our own indie game called Anew: The Distant Light for the last couple of years. Yep.
Wow, that's really awesome. I mean, can you tell me a little bit about the game?
Sure. Yeah, it's sort of the common way to describe it in gaming circles is called a Metroidvania. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of a mix of platforming and exploring and fighting in the sort of a big, open, interconnected world. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. It seems like you guys are taking a very unique take on a pretty well-established genre. So, like, what are some challenges you might have encountered with, like, the marketing of that?
Right. Yeah, so the genre that we're working in, the Metroidvania genre, is sort of this time-tested, beloved type of game. So some of the things that we're doing sort of fundamentally with our design to help us stand out in the marketplace. Visually, the game is unique. Sort of tonally, the game feels unlike anything out there. But mechanically, as far as gameplay, what we're doing is we've added these really awesome, overpowered vehicles to the game. So if you've ever played like the Metal Slug games, we have like these giant mechs and like a sand speeder, flying saucer, rocket ships. And that sort of helps to keep the gameplay fresh and exciting, so you're not always just running around on foot through the world. Yeah, and as far as challenges go, there's at every single corner when you're making an independent game, there's challenges that you're dealing with. I mean, just trying to actually make the game is a massive challenge. But on the marketing front, I think that so many people are making games now. There's just the indie marketplace is so saturated that you have to do something that's just looks world-class and feels world-class that can just sort of grab the attention of someone like at PAX who's walking by. You have 3 seconds to get someone's attention and sort of draw them in. So I would say that's the biggest challenge on the marketing front, is just cutting through the noise and getting the attention of like websites and stuff to get coverage.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. At the very least, it seems like your game is a really nice love letter to some beloved classics. It looks like you're really kind of forging your own path there as well. So that's really, really awesome to see.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed we'll have a good launch, and people seem to be excited about it.
Yeah, well, you heard it here. Everybody keep your eyes out for Anew: The Distant Light. Thank you so much for interviewing with us, Jeff.
Yeah, hey, my pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Right now, we are in front of Vertex Pop with Mo. And Mo, what do you've got going on? What game are you featuring here at PAX?
So we're showing Super Crush KO. It's a side-scrolling brawler where you punch robots and look stylish while you're doing it.
Oh, sweet! So one thing that really draws my attention to this game right off the bat is the color scheme and the design, because it seems very simple, and I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier. It feels simple, but it really stands out, and it's a different color scheme that most people aren't really used to seeing. What was kind of the reason for that?
Yeah, so we just like making, so at Vertex Pop we make action games and we make colorful games. And we just like doing that. Like, we like making action games that look cute and colorful. But I think it also helps us stand out against like kind of like the market of action games that are more like gritty and realistic or whatever. We just like making cute games. So it works really well. Awesome. We like what we do, and it helps us like stand out against like other games as well. So
totally, and from what we've been gathering too with all the other interviews, that's been a common theme, is like everybody trying to stand out because there's so many other games.
Yeah,
out there.
Absolutely. It's tough to stand out. So you do what you can.
Yeah, exactly. So in light of that, part of what we're asking people about today is what are some of your marketing challenges? And obviously, a lot of people have been saying, well, hey, there's a big, huge crowd of other indie games. What are some of those marketing challenges that you guys have found in particular? And what are ways that you're overcoming those challenges?
Yeah, so like you said, kind of like the big challenge is, of course, like discoverability and being noticed. Right? There are so many games out there, and they're all fantastic. Like, and finding a way to like stand out against like the crowd of other games. Even when you have like a unique hook or a unique art style, it can still be difficult to get like the word out there. And the other challenge is that the marketing side of things is like time consuming.
Yes.
And like we're a pretty small team. We're like 5 people. And so finding the time to like make the game, stay on budget, and then also like do all of our marketing duties, it can be a lot. it's important, of course, and we have to do it, but it can be tough to balance all that stuff out at once.
Yeah, totally. So let's say, what are some things that you do? Maybe you can't do everything you would like to from a marketing perspective, but what are some things that seem to be working well for you?
Yeah, so I mean, off the bat, just like having something that looks unique, like screenshots and GIFs kind of sell video games, right? So having a game that has a unique style, like either color palette or like some kind of aesthetic, is super helpful. If you do what we do, which is like kind of like in the genre, games don't look like this. If you make a game that looks different than all the other games in your genre, you will stand out against them, which is great. We are working with a marketing company or like a PR company called Plan of Attack.
Okay.
And they've been helping us with PAX and with like figuring out our like path to release, like what are our marketing beats, what is our strategy, that kind of thing. Which, if you can afford that, I think that's a great thing to do as well. And what else? And I think the last thing is just to be like conscious of like that marketing is an important thing and like putting that into your schedule. Like scheduling time in your budget and in your like game schedule for that, so that you don't end up being like, oh no, I don't have time to market this thing, and also kind of like thinking about copy and thinking about your marketing plan early on, so at least you have an idea of what you want to do when it comes time, when you're close to the release and you actually have to like market your game.
Yeah, no, totally. I think you make really good points there, and really helpful things for the community and other indie devs to consider. Like, hey, marketing shouldn't be like last minute. It's always important to be aware of it and try to incorporate it the best that you're able to do.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
All right. Well, hey, really appreciate your time. Super Crush KO looks awesome, and it looks like you have a pretty good crowd here. So I'll let you get back to things.
Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. Take care.
Pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
Bye.
All right, we're here with Eric and Victoria, and they have a pretty cool, interesting game that's featured in the where was it featured in the indie?
It's the indie mega booth in the mini booth section. Yeah.
Nice, and it's called Spring and Flow. And Eric, tell us a little bit more about your company and the game and what it's about.
Okay, so this game, I'm like a solo developer on this game, so I'm doing all of the programming, the art, the music, the sound, and everything. And then
that's quite a bit.
yeah. And so Victoria here is helping me with PR and marketing and coming to events and all that. So Spring and Flow is a puzzle game about water erosion and watching things grow.
Oh, wow.
So the objective of the game is to control erosion in order to divert water and spread vegetation and grow these wildflowers on the mountainside.
Okay, so and it's so from I played the demo, and it's a mobile game, correct?
Yep.
Or is it available on other platforms too?
So we're aiming to bring it out sometime late spring or during the summer for iOS, Android, and Steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one thing I recall that I liked that about a lot too is just the simplicity of it is very relaxing. And I mean, was that something you were totally going for?
Yeah, so like one of the main things with this game is that it's meant to be sort of a peaceful, relaxing experience. I want the game sort of, in a way, forces you to like slow down a bit in the way that it's paced and just like the atmosphere of it. It just kind of, I want something that's a little bit meditative and that will get people to kind of slow down and appreciate the world around them. And like nature and all that.
Yeah, and I would say you guys definitely did a good job with that, because being at PAX and all the distractions, I totally got that feeling, and that was without any of the music that was in the playing in the game too. So
yeah, it's great here because people are like, oh, it's so chaotic, and they just sit down at the booth and put the headphones on and just kind of relax for a little bit. It's a good break from the craziness of PAX. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the main questions, and I know Victoria here is going to be addressing this question, but one of the main questions that we've been asking all of our indie devs here is what are some of the marketing challenges that you guys have been facing, and how are ways that you're overcoming those challenges?
So I think one of the main issues, especially with it coming out onto like mobile platforms, is market saturation. There's so many games coming out every day, and it is impossible sometimes for you to get noticed and seen, and so many games that are cute, great little gems or wonderful get overlooked and just kind of lost in the mass. Yeah, so